Hello, we're from Cambridgeshire and we all work on the Library Presents programme, taking arts into libraries right across the county. I'm Joanne Gray and I'm the manager.
I'm Catherine Roberts and I'm one half of the coordinator.
And I'm Nathan Jones and I'm the other half of the project coordinator.
So thinking about funding, especially if you're starting out, thinking about taking arts into libraries, you need to realise that you already have a lot of strengths and a lot of experience to bring to this. So you need to really make the most of that. You've got lots of members, library members and users of current activities. You will be delivering already, you'll be working with the public, you'll be taking imaginative events to different groups within the library, different age groups, different interest groups. They're your strengths that you really need to be able to talk about in any application form. You also maybe would want to address certain aspects around lack of cultural opportunities otherwise in the area. You might be, like we are, operating in very rural areas. And I think to start with, you need to think about building confidence, both in the staff and the volunteers, and to a large extent the audience, confidence that you're bringing something brilliant that they don't want to miss. You probably want to think about creating momentum for what's going to happen after that first project. And I think an important part of that is building a feeling of ownership amongst the staff, amongst the volunteers and amongst the audiences. You will definitely need to be creating evidence so that you can use that to inform what you're doing at the time, but also to create the case for the future. In our case, we started really small. We had £10,000 and we were working with 4 libraries over a good many months. And this enabled us to test what works and what doesn't work, and we did find out a lot about what doesn't work. So it's important that you, if you're starting out, try models that work for you. There are a lot of examples out there and people will be more than happy to help you learn from them. Thinking about funders, there might be local trusts and funders in your area with particular interest in certain groups, maybe children, young people, maybe early years, etc. So do try those, but a really good starting point is Arts Council England. Arts Council are keen on working with libraries because they see the strengths there about potential non-arts audiences being library members and being regular users of the library. Those people probably also trust the library space and it's local to them. So libraries have lots of advantages in terms of the membership, the trust, the locality and a huge footfall. You might want to think about whether you play to those strengths or whether you use this opportunity to attract new visitors to the library in terms of arts attenders. And bear in mind that it's very much about working with the communities and in the communities, not separate from them, not just dropping something in. It's important that they feel a part of this.
When you're talking to library staff about an arts offer, touring arts offer, it's really important that you understand what other priorities they might have. So quite often our staff teams are really focused on getting new library members, on getting book issues and on running events that are not related to the Library Presents programme. And the way that we're working with them is to try and get them to see how this fits with their day-to-day working activities. So our events do bring in new audiences, people who might not normally come to the libraries, and it also offers something new to existing library members who maybe don't realise that they want to engage in the arts until they've been to one of our events. They feel safe enough to come to those events because of their relationship with the frontline library staff and because of their relationship with the library. And we've seen this happen in St Neots. We've got a regular library user who has been coming to events for a couple of our seasons now, and who has said that he never would have come to a theatre show we had just last weekend if it had been in a theatre. He came because he knows that he feels comfortable in the library and he knows it's a good quality performance that he gets every time that he comes. When you're talking to staff, it's really important to be specific about what it is that's being offered to them. So if you've got a particular show that you're looking to tour around the libraries, or a selection of shows or workshops, you need to tell staff all the details about what it actually is, what's that artist do, any history they might have or experiences they've got in engaging with this sort of audience. You need to tell them about space requirements and get-in times and all of those kinds of things. But really importantly, it's great to show them a video or some photographs of what that artist has done, because it really helps them understand what it is and gets them excited about that particular performance or workshop. It's really important to listen to staff and to take on board their feedback and use that in your decision making. If you don't listen to your staff and support them and put things in place to help them with challenges like staffing hours or like not having enough volunteers to help at events, then they will find the programme very difficult and maybe start to get disengaged. We have offered training to staff, and we go out to events, myself and Nathan, to support staff where they're new to running this sort of event and they don't have the experience or skills that they need.
We found with the library presents that when working with artists successfully, there's 3 factors that we need to take into account, these being time, information and support. I think when you're planning any kind of project or event, it's always good to use as much time as you've got available, because it always flies past really quickly. Now, we're very lucky with MPO funding that we have the time to do a nice long run in between when we put our call out for artists to the season actually starting. In fact, we've got 8 months to work with. You might find it's a lot shorter than this, so the examples I give are very much within the context of the generous time frame that we have. The 8 months allows us to put a call out nationally to different artists and for us to source a nice variety of artists for our programme. Like I say, both national artists, but also time to work with and develop local artists for the scheme. It then gives us a chance to go through and assess all the applications, and what we do is we put together a menu that goes out to the public, 'cause it's very important that they help shape the programme. So we allow time for this to go out through libraries so that the public can make their choices of what they'd like to see, and then for us to develop a nice, well-balanced and evenly spaced season of activities that covers all the libraries that are involved. The other thing that this time frame allows us is our second factor, which is the clear exchange of information. It's very important that the programme meets our aims and meets the aims of the artists, and that they give us the information we require and we give information that will help them. So, for example, we always ask artists for their space requirements, in particular the height of their show. One of the things we've found quite a lot is that artists don't realise how low library ceilings can be. So if they've got any acrobatic elements to their performance or any big stage props, we need to make sure that these can be accommodated. We also ask them about how long they take to set up and pack down. This can be really important because obviously if a library closes at 5 o'clock to the public and a show starts at 7 o'clock, there is a limited window from which we can get the show set up. Likewise, library staff are relied upon to be the caretakers at the end of an event and see an event out and close the building down, so we don't want to make that an excessively long period of time. The other information that we require from artists is information to help us with publicity. We really need artists to help us as much as possible by giving us nice, clear, high-resolution images that show exactly what the show is about, not just good headshots of an artist, but if it's a musical show, we want to see the musical instruments in the photograph, anything that can really help make it very clear to the public. We ask artists to provide us with good examples of information that can go on posters and in brochures using nice clear language, again, that really explains the event. And we ask them to be really clear with us about exactly what age group the event is targeted at and whether there's any limitations we need to be aware of with regard to maximum age or minimum age. In return, we give them plenty of information about the libraries and as many details as we can to help them create a show that works really well with the libraries. And finally, the third factor I mentioned was support. We try and support the artists as much as we can throughout the programme. We help offer them film footage of their shows, photographs of their shows, and we give them plenty of time to feedback information to us that we can build in to inform the future programme.
So just in summary, thinking about where we are now with National Portfolio Organisation funding, and any adjustments that we might have had to make. Well, I couldn't begin to count them. We've developed so much since 2013. I mentioned earlier that small £10,000 grant to work in 4 libraries. Since then, we have had 2 further project grants from Arts Council to work first of all with 8 libraries and then with 10. Each time we're adjusting the programme. Each time we're learning, we're getting more feedback and we're responding to that. So the third project fund that we had, we decided it was absolutely necessary that we employed a coordinator. It was no longer possible for individual libraries and library staff without any spare capacity to be able to deal with this. So we've addressed those kind of needs as we've gone along. The NPO funding means that we almost have to have policies in place for everything, so that everybody involved is clear about what kind of answers they should give to artists, to members of the public, and to be able to inform how they work with it. The main bonus, apart from the fact that we have the resources to deliver, is that we can plan over a long time. We have 4 years to get this right. So you might think we've been practicing for a long time already. We have, but there's always room for improvement, and we know we're going to be perfect by the end of the 4 years.